Hi there, I thought I'd offer some ideas for the Assessment 3 group task. I'll cover ideas on format for the report, content, a few bits in the way that it connects to the presentation, and some other bits at the end. So here we go. I had a question concerning format. What information should be on the title page? Look, with any report, of course, you're going to want the name of the assignment, and then you're going to want the authors, that's you. Should be a list of those, and that should be names plus SID. We use that acronym, Student Identification Numbers. So they should be on there as well. Actually, probably, yeah, up the top here, I would put a date. You can form that in the way that you like. If it's, for formal, like you probably want to put LTCA, you want to put sustainability. I think that's about all. What else? That's all I can think of. I mean, if you were writing a report for business, obviously you put contact details and all of that kind of thing, but the student ID number kind of gives that to me. And then, look, at the moment up here you see this document is called Document 3. You don't want that. You want to save this out as group, whatever the group is, group 4, group 5, and then assessment 3, something like that. Okay, so that would be the title page. Let's get rid of that. So we've got the title page. Then I think it would be good to have subheadings. So a good way that you can make subheadings is to go into the multi-level, not the usual numbers, but the multi-level numbers, and go down here, and you see that it gives us this. So the first part is going to be introduction. Second part is the issue. Oops. Issue. You see I'm using the style guides up here. Heading 1, again, issue. And then heading 1 again, Stakeholder Map. And then heading 1 again, Justifications. Then heading 1 again, Responses. And heading 1 again, Conclusion. Now, it's kind of a requirement for this assignment that for this you say it's Matthew Crosby that's going to be writing this and this, right? And that way I'm able to identify, well, to be honest with you, it's my way of telling who's done what in the assignment, and I want to know that. Okay, so when we're writing in the introduction section, you're going to be providing a background of the company, of course. But if you give me, Qantas was formed in 1918, it flies in the air, it does passenger cargo, like all of that sort of general information, it should take up about 1, maybe 2 sentences. The background that I'm looking for is a background that relates directly to the issue. So what I'm looking for is that this issue here is going to relate directly, this background statement here is going to relate directly to the issue. Got to have some relevance in there. Okay. Then for the issue, Now you see I've put just one issue there. Of course it can be 1 or 2. I wouldn't put 3, because if you put more than one issue, it means you're going to need more than one stakeholder map. I'm okay if it's just one issue that you deal with, because that means you only need one map. So let's presume that we're just doing one issue for now. Okay? Alright, so for the issue, it would be good to know things like how long has this issue been occurring? Some other things that you might like to answer. How significant? What are the consequences? How does it relate to sustainability? And so you see with these questions, how long has this issue been occurring? I would expect some research cited for this. Most definitely. How significant? Well, don't forget that significance is a value. How hot, how cold, how happy, how sad, how serious. Is it life and death? Do people go to hospital as a result of this? Will people lose money? Will the environment be harmed? There are all sorts of ways that you can judge the significance, and that will be a value that you choose. And so, for example, if you're talking about something like climate change, then you're going to be looking at the frequency of severe weather events, for example. And with this, you've got frequency as the measure of significance. That means that you're able to bring research that proves the significance. What are the consequences? Obviously, there's a relationship between these, and this is where you're introducing examples. Do you remember in my response to assessment 2, I said I just didn't see enough of this statement here, for example, or such as. Please write those in there, and that will force you to make this a specific case study. I think too, it's here that when you're in the issue state. Oh, sorry, let me just do this. I think that with sustainability, you can bring in the SDGs. You might bring in society, environment, economy. Or you could even talk about equity between generations. Do you know, these are the definitions that we know from Moscato, pages 3 and 4. Regarding the issue, of course, it's been a requirement for us to look at the corporate sustainability report. And from that report, you have chosen an issue. Well, what would be good is to have a comparison between the way that the company describes how it is dealing with the issue. Do you know many companies are saying that by 2030 they will have net zero, for example? That might be something. Or they will do better dealing with prices, consumer prices. I'm talking about price gouging. A few people are doing supermarkets. Or they will be able to implement the use of SAFs, sustainable aeronautical fuel. These are all statements that are made in the corporate sustainability reports of companies. I guess the question is, what does other research say? So that we get this abbreviation here means compared to. So you compare what the company says it's doing to other research. That's an important part of critical analysis. Okay, so then for the stakeholder map. Now, I don't think that I'm giving away any secrets to say that we should be looking at Johnson and Scholl's idea of the stakeholder map. Which of course has 4 squares, arranged something like this. Just going to do a quick job of this. And then of course we've got the interest and power lines. 1 arrow going across there. And then 1 arrow vertical line going down there. And of course can do this with a shape. Power. And interest. Pull those up there. Oops, wrong one. So you see, it's pretty quick to do something like this. And then, of course, we're going to have different stakeholders. Now, the main thing that I wanted to demonstrate, do you remember our experiment with the family? And we said, we went through and we said, you know, this one wants to do the dishes, this one doesn't. This one has power to say no, this one doesn't. And what we did was we said, well, the son, because he's older, will have more power, the daughter less power, that kind of thing. And then we argued about the mother and the father, where they would be on these squares. Well, what I have seen in at some points when I've seen responses to the questions is not to do squares, but to focus on the idea of these arrows here as being on a spectrum. So rather than having this depicted as squares, it's simply been where people have drawn a line here and then a line across here, and you know, some people have even gone to the trouble of kind of calibrating, putting notches along here to show that this is a degree. You might want to do that, and then saying, well, this stakeholder sits in this part of the field. Do you see? So it actually gives a more of a spectrum approach to the power and the interest. Important thing to remember here is that it's possible to export this slide. Where is it gone again? Share with others, download. Yeah, here we go, as a JPEG image. So if I do that, I can download this, go into my Finder box. There's downloads there. There it is, that one there. And I can just pull that in here, and then I can manipulate that inside here. Now, an important thing to remember is that we've only got 4 pages in this document. So please, 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 don't do this. Don't have a stakeholder map that takes up 2 pages. Make it so that it's small enough. I can still read it. That's all I need to be able to do. And then, you know, you can go up here. You can format this. If I can bring it up. Come on, guys. Picture format, that's the one. And then position. Usually I like to use that one there. And you see it means that I can drag this and wrap text around it. It means that you're able to maximize the space that you're using in your document. Okay, so then of course we've got to look at what the justifications are. I think really you've got a number of stakeholders that you're dealing with, and so going back to our our list here, I'd be going to dot points, I would say, stakeholders. So, stakeholder, you're probably going to be talking about government, you could probably be talking about the customers, probably be talking about suppliers, right? And then I think that you should really be specifying A, B, C, or D, and then I think it's probably a good idea also to say whether they're for the idea, whether their interest is positive or negative, because that's going to affect what the strategy should be. Be specific. If you're talking about the government, make sure you tell me, is it the state government or is it the federal government? If you're talking about suppliers, are they people involved in logistics, mining, farmers? Are they manufacturers? Be specific with this. Remember, different stakeholders have different values and priorities. I want to know that because that will affect what the responses of the company are. I think also you should be most definitely be bringing in research here. Basically, wherever you can, give me research. Okay, so then with responses. In the responses section, I think that really you're going to get some ideas about this from the sustainability report. Good to cite that. Don't forget to give me a citation each time you use things. Each time you use information from the sustainability report. And please, my goodness, don't forget the page number, the locator, or if it's a website, the paragraph number, or if it's a video, the timestamp. So you're going to be citing from the sustainability report, but you might also be saying, well, look, this is not the first time that the issue, for example, of CO2 emissions has come up. So the company could use another company's approach in trying to deal with the issue. So use research in this part as well. And I guess it would be possible to use dot points for this. So response number 1, response number 2. And these are going to relate directly to, there's going to be a relationship between a response and a specific stakeholder that you're talking about. And don't forget that over here in Moodle, you remember in week 9 when we first introduced stakeholders in the tutorial section? There was this video here, and just to see. Ouch, that's pretty loud. Sorry about that. Don't forget, I don't really want that like that. Anyway, it's over here. You see there are a whole bunch of different ways to describe responses. Well, that should be coming in here, and they will depend on where they are on your stakeholder map. Okay, so the last thing is the conclusion. So really in the conclusion section, there's pretty much a set way of concluding any piece of writing. This has been analyzed. You'll see that I'm using a present perfect tense here because that tells me that something has already been done and therefore we are at this point now. So there'll be a couple of statements there. This has been analyzed, this, and this. And then there should be a kind of a restatement of the issue, pardon me, of the responses. That's probably only going to be one sentence. And then an idea about what's going to happen in the future. And really the future is going to be a condition statement. If this is done, this will occur. All right. I don't have much to say at the about the presentation at the moment, except to say that make them visual. If you're already going into that, you must, for example, if you're presenting statistics, you must make a chart or some kind of a diagram with influence flows, pretty much the way we've been doing it on whiteboards for mind mapping. It's got to be a visual. The slides should be visual, and then the detailed information comes from what you say. We'll be working on the presentation in the lecture classes of week 12, and then so lectures week 12, work on presentations, and then tutorials week 12, present, and we'll be done. All right, so I'm on email. If you need to get me, don't hesitate to contact me. Looking forward to reading your ideas. Bye now.